Welcome to the Play Skillfully podcast. I am your host, Kathy Eggers, and we are here to talk about ways to cultivate connection and the wonder of learning with our children. Hey, grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine because this is going to be good.
Like adjusting when you have a new kid enter a family, when life looks different, when hormones shift, when something's not working for one of your kids, when life looks different than what you thought it would look like.
Okay, I'm going to pause you and say welcome to the podcast because I had already hit record because I really liked where you were going.
Did you for real?
I did. You're already going. So I liked
Nice.
what you were saying. Yeah, I know. I figured it's all me to do that. But you were, I could see you were starting to get in the flow of talking. So I just casually hit record. So I'm going to say, I'm so glad you're here. You're listening to Keri Vasek rant about ideas to talk about today. And they're good. So we're going to go with it. So Keri, let's keep going. Keep going. Adapting, I think, is where you're headed.
Yeah. I think I was thinking back as you and I were talking about before this briefly about homeschool conferences at the early, like when I was starting to use Year of Playing Skillfully and just really dipping my toe into homeschooling was I had this, I think we all developed this idea of what this is going to be like. I was even thinking the other day about I remember my in-laws asking me if I'm going to teach cursive. And I'm like, of course I'm going to teach cursive. And now here I am, however many years in, and I have 4 such different children, and some know how to write cursive. One in particular is so angry about the idea that cursive exists in the world. Like they're just so different. It's just so different than what I think I ever could have imagined.
What do you think the pressure points are, Keri? Like back then, when you were first starting, when you were imagining, what was that idea? What was that? This is, of course, cursive, but what else was in that ideal homeschool life that you were going to lead?
Like mine?
Yeah.
Everything was wood.
Oh.
There were so many candles, no screens. My children loved the outdoors. Oh, they would just
Love the way your body is moving.
Like life would feel like, and it has not been that. I don't move through life that smoothly, just as a person. I think I've always felt like I kind of clunk through life. So I don't know why I thought homeschooling would be different, but I am gifted at being a visionary. So
yes, you are.
I can envision all the wonderful, beautiful things. I struggle when the reality differs so greatly from that vision. I think I struggle less now. I think I've had more time to really, really sit with that. But I think one of the things that's made that I don't want to say an easier process because it hasn't been easy. But one of my unique giftings, I think, as a person with ADHD is the ability to adapt rather quickly to new scenarios, to pick up on the feeling in our home and to be able to adjust as is needed usually has just been so beneficial to know when it's time to just put something away and try something different.
Yeah.
To not be scared of not finishing a curriculum.
Yeah, I think that's huge. So you're able to adapt and adapt in the for not finishing your curriculum. I'm saying all those TikTok moms are all about give me that answer.
Yeah.
But I'm saying how did you know that you don't have to finish the curriculum? Like what would you tell a TikTok mom why you don't have to finish the curriculum?
I mean, I think, you and I met because of you were playing skillfully.
Yeah, that too.
Fate also. We were destined. But I think one of the biggest gifts actually that You're Playing Skillfully gave me was it really taught me how to look at a curriculum and make it work for me and for my people, and to not get hung up on checking off all the boxes. And let's be real, if I got hung up on checking all the boxes, I would crumble. Like that's not, I am not an Enneagram 1. I do not have a need to, I don't have that need. So I think I'm innately like that anyway, but I don't think it was until using You're Playing Skillfully that was like, oh, I get to really take these resources that I have and make them work for me. And we've talked about this before, but like
Yeah.
at the time, one of the things that looked like was I simply could not afford to do all the activities, like just where we were in our life. There were a lot of things I just couldn't afford to buy. So it's like, well, this is not a problem. I do what I can with what I have. And like this, it has to fit. It has to fit our life. And I think that's the biggest thing with adapting your homeschool is homeschooling. It has to fit our life. It's that I loved all of the wild and free and let's all be out in nature together, and we had a lot of time that was like that. But a lot of the time that was like that was actually wrought with a lot of difficulty, because now I know I have a child who's neurodivergent, and um we were having massive sensory meltdowns in the middle of that. So I thought I was giving them uh the magical childhood and the gift of being outside, and for some of them I was, and for one of my kids I was putting her in a situation where her nervous system was like wigging out, just absolutely wigging out.
I'm so glad
And
you brought
so
that up. I'm so glad you brought that
yeah.
up, Keri, because, of course I preach that, right? I preach that sensory is so beneficial to your child. However, if you have a child that is sensory avoidance, or you do see that it is overstimulating, that's why observation is so important. And that's why I say no one knows your children. And it's real hard for you just to say, what curriculum do I need? Because no one knows your children and their bends and their special situations and how their brain is wired. And so, for example, it worked perfectly for your first child. I mean, they
Mhm.
thrived in that environment. And then it almost created a little bit of chaos for your next child. And so,
Yeah, and the things, like hindsight is so great to have.
yeah, it
I
is.
love
It's
this
pretty
hindsight we
amazing.
have.
Yeah. I'm a pretty
Like the
perfect
things,
parent with hindsight.
yeah, the things she thrived in were like one of our favorites was the salt with the liquid watercolors. Oh my gosh. Everything was brown. I mean, you know that. Everything with her was brown anyway, cuz nothing
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted like the beautiful pictures and like the pictures to hang on, and I'm like, what
Yeah.
do I do with all this brown stuff? What do, like paintings that are just smeared. And I'm like, okay, readjust expectations.
Right.
Adjust your expectations. But like just rivers running through, and it was in the kitchen. So it was contained. It didn't have all of the bugs, the sounds, the things of
The
outside.
stimulants. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The temperature was controlled. There was no wind, so it
Yeah.
was inside. Um, and it was like so methodical, just repetitive, and it was
Was it color mixing?
probably it's probably
Was it
no,
color mixing or was it the
she loved color
salt?
mixing the
Yeah.
salt
Oh, the salt. Okay, she did love it even
with
if
the
it was
pipettes.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, yeah,
gosh.
yeah. Yeah.
Loved that one. Loved color mixing. Those were some of the ones we did the most frequently because, and I think looking back, I think that's why it it was so good for her. But now, having older kids and knowing what we know now, we've been able to I always struggled to say these things knowing other people are going to hear them, because I feel like when you say them out loud, it sounds so like flowy and lovely, and it happened, and this was like painful and clunky. And I felt like most of this time was just spent like stumbling, hopefully in a general forward facing direction.
Yes.
So I have to like lead off with that because I know how I listened to things like this, and I I just was always like, why is this coming so easy to everyone but me?
Right. Right.
So now as they're older, I have gotten to more of a place of like being able to identify like, well, there were some things that I expected this to be like. There were family all together at the table.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a Kathy Eggers big family, but we have 6 people in our family.
Yeah.
Um, I pictured things like all together. I didn't imagine togetherness completely dysregulating a
I
child. I
one of the
didn't ever.
first One of the first people in the homeschool community I heard speak when I was a young homeschool mom, I think John Michael was just 5, and I might have told you this, was Sally Clarkson. I went to hear her speak, and I remember her describing her tea time with her children and how she would do candles and they would have hot tea. And so I was all inspired by that. I thought this will be our life. Again, I had one child at the time. This will be our life. We will sit by the fire and drink hot tea and share stories, and we will be amazing. And I think just even family, I mean, we had family dinner every night, but more often than not, it ended in somebody yelling or ticking someone off or storming to their room or getting sent to their room, or very rarely was there ever what was described by Sally Clarkson as this
Mhm.
lovely time together. Now, I know she was
Yeah,
saying one-on-one time, and we did have some of that, but I mean, ours was chaos. So was yours similar,
yeah,
or are they similar?
yeah,
You're still in it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
And
that's
that's
what I
normal.
wanted.
That's You wanted what, the chaos or the Sally
No.
Clarkson version? Yes.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah. Um,
To this day, I will tell you, my kids are all grown kids, and we still can barely get through a dinner without somebody ticking somebody off. I mean, it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. So maybe
we
that
were
says something about.
sold that dinner time around a table was gonna be this great connecting time. Like, I'm open. I'm open to how does that happen? But we did just have one, everybody commented on it just the other night where everybody was happy and pleasant, and we had waffles for dinner, so now I'm like, "Okay, we will have waffles every if this is what it takes, I'll make waffles every night." But
Listen,
I know that's not what it's about.
yeah, we used to do breakfast every Sunday night. My kids did love breakfast for dinner every Sunday night. We did that. And there are moments, because the other thing we did at dinner was your high and low for the day. And if I would stick to that, and we would do a high and a low, and they had something that would direct them. But even that, sometimes they would be ticked off.
Oh,
I don't have a
I had
high.
to
I don't
stop
have a. Yeah.
I had to stop doing highs and lows because it became like a firing ground.
Yes.
And I was like,
Right. Right.
well, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess we'll put this on pause for
Abandon
now
that.
and do this
Yeah.
in private. But those visions that I had, I think just taking a minute to hold them very, very loosely and
Yes.
just adapt to what what is. I
Yeah.
also didn't ever think about perimenopause or years of anxiety and depression.
Postpartum.
I
I mean,
postpartum.
yeah.
Those early years. I didn't ever take into account the stresses with my husband's job and how that plays into things. And when they were younger, so much of the adapting looked like, all right, drop everything. We're going to a park. We're going to go get
Yes.
snacks at Aldi and we're going to go to a park. And just that's what we're doing today. And that is not just good enough, but that's good. Like
Yes.
this is good for us. Now it's so much more as like having teenagers adjusting for for the age gap. It's less drop everything, go to the park. It's more maybe 2 of us go to the park. Maybe I go with some kids to an art day and letting go of that. It has to be all of us. It has to be all together. We're going to be this close, big family. And we are, but it's different than what I expected
Yeah, and I
it
think you
would
can
be.
be a close-knit family. Let's just touch on that for a second. I think you can be a close family and still honor individual needs and still
Yeah.
choose to connect with different children at different times or even groups of children. Just like you said, take two of the four. Those, I think there are circles where some would say, hey, don't do that. What? You're all one family. And I would argue that actually that more individualized time that you're getting to give those children and fill their cup in a smaller group does wonders, because I hear over and over from children who grew up in a large family and were homeschooled that they felt dismissed, they felt unimportant because everything was just this all of us together and there wasn't that one-on-one time of connection at all. And I think when you're in the middle of it as a mom with lots of kids, you don't even recognize that that's happening because you're just trying to keep the plate spinning. But I
Mhm.
think you actually doing that and saying, okay, it can look this way. I think you're actually serving your children better, in my opinion, by doing that.
Okay, one of the best things we ever did on that note, years ago, we implemented Sunday Funday.
Yes.
So it started, I've told you about this, for 2 hours on Sundays. My husband or myself would take one of the kids and go have, and we had like a rotation that we would go on. And we would get 2 hours just with the one, like one-on-one time with the child. So it ended up being like every sixth week. I think so. They would have, like, I would have time with them. And then every third week, I don't know,
On
sometime
a
like every
regular
3
basis. Yeah.
weeks,
Yeah.
regular basis. Then we had to bring the fourth into the mix. He got old enough. We started doing Saturday days and Sunday fun days. So Saturday is dad, Sunday is mom, and we rotate through kids. So one weekend it's
Love that.
child 1 and 3. Next weekend it's child 2 and 4. So every other week we get one-on-one time. They know that they have one-on-one time with mom or dad. That's been huge for that you were talking about.
I think it
It's been
is,
a
and I
really big
think it's
deal.
something they will look back at and really remember as that you put value in them as individuals, and I think that's sometimes the missing piece with the larger families. They don't feel like they're valued as an individual. It's the group of children, and I think that is something that when it became cool to have a lot of children or it became whatever your reason for having a lot of children, not that I'm saying you did, but there are people who literally don't even know why they're having lots of children, and yet they are because it's the end thing. And I think people didn't think through, what is this doing? I mean, my own children have said there were times they didn't feel that they had enough individual attention. And I was very intentional with it. So I can only imagine if a parent doesn't put priority into that. So, anyway, another side note. I keep going to side notes. You're bringing up so many things that I want to go,
Yeah,
ooh,
I feel
let's
like
talk
we
on that.
should be, like,
Let's
talking
on talk
about
about that.
big families today.
Well, I think all of it. I think it all kind of goes together. I think part of adaptability is depending on your family. Just like if you only have one child and you're homeschooling one child, I think you have to make adjustments and you have to adapt and you have to be intentional with, getting them around other children so that they don't grow up isolated in some ways and feel like they missed out. So I think whatever your situation is, you have to be willing to adapt. So I
Yeah.
do think it
Well,
fits.
and I think from one kid to the next too. So all 4 of mine are just so different.
So different. Yeah,
Um,
they are.
they're so different.
They are.
And
Yeah.
now, so I had a child who didn't read until almost 10, kid who read pretty average. Pretty sure she was like 7-ish, 6, 7. 6, okay, 8, 8, 6 or 7. I don't even remember. And then another one who is a struggling reader at 10. And then all of a sudden I have this kid who is 5
Who's been
and
reading since it came out of your womb, it feels
his
like.
chapter book is sitting on the table in the kitchen. He comes to me in the morning with his book reading, "Mom, what's this word?" He's like, "Oh, through. I know that one." I'm like, "God,
Yeah.
Where did you come from? And so with him, the adapting is much more like adjusting to like again, I think so much of being adaptable is letting go of your preconceived notions, letting go of what you thought this would be, what you think it needs to be, and embracing what is.
Yeah.
And so there is much less read aloud time with him than with my other kids because he wants to do it himself. He is like, he does not like, he'll let my husband more often read aloud to him, like at nighttime, but he wants to do it. He wants to sit with me and read to me. So it's very different. So it means at a younger age, he's doing more audiobooks at bedtime because I still want that. Like, that's so
Mhm.
important to me,
Yeah.
but it's had to look different. It's had to be, and with him, it's much more, it would be so easy to just fall into the worksheet life because he would happily do it. And so instead of with the older ones where it was so easy to have a play-based lifestyle and just made so much sense, with him, it feels more like I have to be much more intentional about making that open-ended play happen
Mhm.
for him because he's just a different child than the other ones. And the way he plays is different than the other kids. So it means just again, I just think it's so much of a
Mm.
and identifying what the like what are the things that I want to prioritize and make space for what this child finds important, what
Yeah.
this child feels interested in. I never imagined in my entire life that I would know so much about hamsters as I do, but adjusting our academics in a way that allows her to spend a solid amount of time learning about hamsters.
Hey, let's park there for a second. Again, because so many people say, "How do you keep play in the older years?" What would you say? I'm gonna guess it has something to do with hamsters, but
Yeah. So it's been a lot of the watching when the life happens. And we allow her to have a very late bedtime because she comes to life at nighttime
and has
and she
always,
loves it.
right?
Has
Hasn't that kinda
always.
always been her
From
bend?
the
Yeah.
time she was born, from the time I was
Yeah.
pregnant with her.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. That's what I thought.
And but she uses her imagination at night and I'll come up to her room and hear and I'll be like, I'm gonna walk away. She's just in this world that she's created that's very like it's what a lot of things that you would expect a 13-year-old to be interested in, but just making the space because there was one night in particular um that I'm thinking about that I was coming to her room to be like, hey, we need to head to bed. And then I hear her and I was like, no, just like when you were little. And my rule when they were young was if they are in imaginary play, I don't interrupt it. Like
Very good.
that was so important to me that was an if they were in imaginary play or if they were playing nicely together, those were my like the academics can wait and people can feel differently about that. That's not something I'm like say is right for every family, but that was important to me.
Yeah.
Um
Well, because you know
and
the
I just didn't
value in
interrupt those
both of
things.
those things. Both of those things are academic, right? The imaginary play is building executive function. It is furthering critical thinking skills. It is developing language. It is doing all those things. Playing nicely
Mhm.
with a sibling is developing interpersonal relationship skills. It is building vocab. I mean, you know, you see the benefit. I think a lot of parents say
Right.
it's either this or it's academics, but
Mhm.
fortunately
Yeah.
you knew that
Yeah.
that had value.
Yeah. And so now for me, it's the same thing. Like there are just certain things I don't interrupt. When you are
Mhm.
in the flow of like creating something or designing something or acting something, I don't interfere in it. I don't step in and ask about it. I have one who loves to be asked about it. But I know that this child in particular like loves that space. She would feel embarrassed if I acknowledged that it was happening. So I give that space and I don't interrupt and prioritize the things that are important to her.
Yeah. I want to encourage these parents that
I mean,
that learning
for
doesn't have to look like math and science as you know it from a textbook, and that the learning can be about their passions, which at the moment for her it
yeah.
is hamsters or plants or all of her things. But that's what you can build a whole curriculum around, and it can be her homeschool where she learns science and math and all those things through her passions, and that's the play.
I mean, the wild part is stepping away and then I hear her talking to other people. I'm like, wow, what she knows. Okay, so hamsters, what she knows about, there are many different species of hamsters, if you
Okay.
didn't know.
I don't know anything about hamsters
And they live
other than
in
they like to eat their
many different
babies.
kinds of ecosystems.
See, I didn't know any of that.
And there are different sizes, and they live many places all over the world. Well, she knows where all of these species of hamsters, where their natural habitat are, like all
Okay.
over the world, and where they come from, and where they're invasive and which ones are invasive where. So I'm like, just literally doing geography. She knows when these things started becoming a problem. Before she got the hamster, she did have to, like, this was never going to be something I was going to care for. So she had to have a plan for how she was going to financially support this thing, care for this thing. So she did massive amounts of research. She came to me with a list of, I mean, that was an expectation because I did not want to take care of a hamster. So she had a list of what everything was going to cost. And she's budgeting so she can afford veterinary care for a hamster, and she's budgeting so she can afford, right now we're doing geriatric hamster care, and she's making tea with thyme leaves, so she needed to go to the grocery store the other night to buy thyme so she could make hamster tea.
What is considered geriatric in hamster world?
Like a year.
That's
They
what
are-
I wondered. I knew their lifespan was short.
yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay, so
But she's so
again,
passionate about this little critter, and I mean, she's very adorable.
I love that. But
The child and the hamster.
yeah, the child is one of my faves. I've never met the hamster. But my point to all of that, and it goes to adapting because I would imagine in your beautiful world that you created of homeschooling, never did you imagine there would now be a hamster in your homeschool experience. Not only would there not be one that you would know the ecosystem and the geography of where they're from. So to have a child want to chase this and for you to adapt and say, not only are we going to chase it, it becomes part of your school day. That's the part I want people to hear is that
Yeah.
you said
Well,
yes to that.
I think I thought it would feel more schooly. It doesn't feel schooly.
And I
Yeah,
think most
it
parents would
doesn't
be, wow,
feel
wouldn't that
schooly.
be amazing? Because think of how many kids would be so excited about something that doesn't feel schooly. Because how many of us get excited about the things that feel schooly? I'm sure there are some people. I'm not one of them. But
Yeah.
boy, if I can
Yeah.
learn about something, I went to learn mahjong last night. I've never played it. I know it's all the rage. I know. I went to
Played.
my first
I
little
went to.
mahjong thing. It was kind of cool. It didn't feel schooly, but boy, did I learn a lot by the end of that about, things and realize that I'm probably not going to be good at it, but it doesn't matter. It was fun. But my point is, don't we think that's a gift to our kids? If we can get them excited to pursue something that is schooly, but doesn't feel schooly, I think kind of we've won the game of homeschooling if we could do that.
Well, and I think as a young mom, I think I thought I'd have more influence on what those things, like that I could get them to care about XYZ and
Playing the violin.
um
That
mhm.
just seems very popular in
uh
the homeschool world.
yes. And I am learning, one, how very little I know. I think that happens when you have teens. I hope that's a
Yes,
normal
that
thing.
was my experience, or still is.
But also how little I control in who they are. And I think I learned that pretty early on, like trial by fire.
Yeah.
I was put through some serious flames with that one. And I'm grateful I got to learn it, um, even though it was not fun to learn it. Uh, but even in like who they are, how little we have control over,
You know what? And
you
how
know, and
much we don't have to control. Honestly, again, not only do we don't have a lot, but it's better that way. It's really better when they get to lead in some of those areas of growth. They're better for it if we would get out of their way.
well, and I always heard, when someone actually knows something when they can teach it. And I find when I get out of the way, I mean, the areas that they're interested in are so very niche. Like they teach me constantly about their things. There's a computer game right now also that she's very, very, very into. And she creates this is another plaything. She like designs characters for it and like comes up with the characteristics, and this is what they do and this is their backstory, and that's very play based to me, but they're not necessarily things that I care about. Hamsters, like I just don't really actually care about it, but going in with the curiosity um that you always have told me about, have always encouraged to be curious.
Curious. Yeah.
And the amount that I learn from them about their areas of interest is really amazing. And it's morphed over the years, My first was so into birds for so long, and now I'm like the stereotypical middle-aged birder. But I didn't get here on my own. I was like forced here
Yeah.
by a 9-year-old who all he asked for Christmas were bird feeders. So I don't know. I think it's and that was one of the more lovely things. I loved that one. I was like,
Yes.
yes, let's be all about birds. But then comes a day when they're not all about birds anymore. And so it's okay, we adjust to
That's right.
the next
But
this
trust
is
that that
good.
one thing leads to something else. And if we keep allowing them to pursue their passions, though that's what's going to get them to who they're meant to be. But if we stop at this one, hamster's not your thing. So we're going to discourage that one. Let's move on. It could be she could miss the link that she needs to become who she's supposed to be. Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying? Is
Yeah.
that I just think we have to chase it with them. And they might stop chasing it, or they might continue to, I think of Henry with sports. I mean, that kid has loved sports from day one, but it has changed from a love of football to basketball to now he's into golf right now, and he was going to be a coach. He went to college to be a coach, and now he's thinking he's going to be administration. And it's hard not to want to go, but have you thought about this? And it's hard to go, okay, let's chase that and trust that chase is going to lead you to where you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
That's scary, I think, as a parent, especially if it's something we're not interested in. It's easy if we like
Yeah.
it too, but
Yeah.
chasing hamsters, trusting that it
Yeah.
might get her there, that might be
Well,
hard.
and it doesn't even yeah. And we haven't even scraped the surface on like having a co-op for years and then having to leave it over
Yes.
belief differences.
Yes.
And adapting in that, just the super technical piece of, and then doing some time with the sadness
Yes.
of that and the feelings, like adapting to those different feelings. And
I'm glad you said that piece
don't know.
too, because I forgot that part of your story. That wasn't, 2 years ago that happened, that you left your co-op?
Yeah, year and a half.
And I think sitting in that with your kids and yourself when something like that happens, because I'm sure that was not only painful for your children, but that was, I imagine, painful for you too, and adapting because I would guess you saw yourself going through the rest of their school days with this co-op around you, and then for that to have to shift and you have to adapt, I think would cause a few challenges.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say with that as you had to change, no details, but when you had to adapt with that and change plans of direction, what did that look like?
I mean, it was sudden
Yeah.
and unexpected. And I think for us, it really looked like just really turning inward for about a
Mm.
year. and
Okay.
just being okay, slowing down
Was part of you kind
and
of thankful for
feeling
that?
our feelings. Yeah.
I would
Part of me was
imagine that
thankful.
part of me would be like, somehow this is good, actually. Feels a
Yeah.
little good to
Well,
slow
and it
down.
was a lot of sitting with really hard things and really hard feelings. And we needed the space and the time um,
Did your kids
to do
all
that.
react to it? Did they all have strong opinions about leaving, or did they just trust you? No, they were in it. They were in it emotionally with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked to them about the circumstances around us leaving and asked their thoughts. And I was really proud of them. They all
Yeah.
agreed.
Well, and in that, Carrie, that's a lesson and that's learning. And that's, again, homeschooling is so much bigger than a textbook. And that's, for me, what I wish our young moms, like, they stress out so much about choosing the right curriculum. And it's such a minuscule part of what this journey is. And if they just listen to you and hear, you haven't talked much about curriculum through this whole hour we've been together, right? Because it just usually doesn't matter. I mean, it
Yeah.
matters some as you pick and choose and you need a guide sometimes, but a lot of times you don't. The guide almost
Yeah.
messes you up.
Sometimes. And to just not be scared. I remember hearing a very successful homeschooling mother. And I say successful like her kids are successful. One
Right.
got a master's or a doctorate at Harvard. Like,
Mm, mhm.
this is a
Like a world,
successful
right, sure.
homeschooling mom.
Yep.
Very successful children. And she said, whatever you do, pick a math curriculum and stick with it. She was a math teacher by trade. And she like rode hard on you pick one math curriculum and you stick to it. That would have killed my family. That would have killed us
I wish I
because,
could list the number of math curriculums we went through. 10,
mhm,
12. By the time all my kids were done.
yeah,
We didn't do
because
that.
I am as an adult, in my older years began to like love math. And then I have kids that math doesn't just click for in the same way.
Yeah.
So adjusting in ways that don't damage their relationship with mathematics, I'm like,
Yeah.
I would much rather you have a good relationship with math. Hey, this isn't working for you. All right. Let's find
Yeah.
something that
Find
works
something
for you.
else. Yeah.
Like all math is just puzzles. It's just puzzles. That's all it is. There's
Mm.
a correct answer, which means we just figure out the puzzle to get there. And so sometimes we let it be just puzzles, just games. Or because and we've talked about this before, because their relationship with the subject matters.
It does.
And if we just dig our heels in and refuse to adjust what we're doing, we really miss out on some learning opportunities that can be really, really powerful, I think.
I say, and those are the times too that are at risk of damaging the relationship, digging your heels in on some of that stuff too. Because not only are you damaging their relationship with the subject, but I think you're potentially damaging the relationship. Because when your kids see that you're not willing to budge, it's more important that you spent your $100 on this math curriculum. So by golly, you're going to finish it, even if it's destroying them in every area.
Yeah.
I don't know. What messages are we sending and why are you homeschooling and what is your ultimate goal with homeschooling? Is it to
Right.
finish the math
Right.
curriculum? That's the goal. If that's the goal, then okay. But is that the
That's
goal?
just
Is
not
that why
enough
you're
for me.
doing it?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yesterday we had one of mine stormed out of the bedroom in a tirade because of frustration over a section on math homework. And I did two of them. I'm not doing the other one. I was like, okay, go ahead and put it away. Can I help you with it tomorrow? Fine.
Excellent.
Okay.
But what?
Because I
Yeah.
know tomorrow you're going to be fed. You will have slept. You're going to have some time. What would it do me to be like, no, you must finish it? Who
Right.
cares? Like,
Who cares?
actually, who cares? It's one problem. Like, let's go to bed. Let's look at it with fresh eyes tomorrow.
I know for myself, I get irrational after about 8 o'clock. If you bring anything to me, super late and want to have a discussion, it's not going to go well. But if you will wait till the morning, all things are better in the morning for me.
It's better.
It's amazing. And so I can imagine that our kids, some of them, if they're wired that way, that's very similar. just put it away. I'm the same way. It could be so overwhelming, whatever it is. And tomorrow morning, Anne of Green Gables, it's fresh with no mistakes. So I can look at it and see it differently. All right. Any final words on adapting as we finish this sweet little episode that's probably been all over
I
the
just
place?
realized, well, this is what you get for having my ADHD brain here, because now I'm like thinking back to all the questions you asked that I didn't actually answer. So
Well, you said
that's
great
annoying.
stuff. I don't even remember the question. So what I think people will
Clearly,
enjoy,
neither do I.
but hold on, we had a lot of great meat in there, and I hope that we were able to encourage these young moms that it's probably going to look different than you imagine. And you can either lean into that or you can buckle down and fight it. But if you buckle down and fight it, it's probably going to be an extra clunky ride. But if you can lean into the clunky and enjoy the clunky and appreciate the clunky and welcome the clunky and adapt, then it might be something incredibly beautiful.
And no, you're not the only one clunking your way forward.
That's right. Correct. But I love that. Clunking might be my new favorite word right now, clunking. All right. Love you. So glad you were here. Listen, I can't wait till you come back and we talk more or rant or whatever we do.
Can't wait.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to the Play Skillfully podcast. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite listening platform. Check out our products at kathyeggers.com. And if you want to save 10% on your first order, put in the code PS podcast at checkout. And lastly, find a way to say yes today.